we need to talk about Thunderbolts.
Golly, I'm being exotic, machines is robotic, so we can make billions from building a hobby.
What's up? Welcome back to Revenge the Nerd. I'm Matt Lucas. So it's been about a week now and the Thunderbolts has been in theaters. A lot of people have seen it. It's been getting rave reviews online. What better time to jump in the pandemonium of it all and pull up the rear by releasing my review of the movie a week after it's been out.
Sorry about the wait. It was on an important call. Highly classified. Lot of work. Many irons in fire.
You feel fulfilled?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so full. So filled.
I walked into the movie with hopeful expectations. I wanted them to break what we've been seeing in Marvel films. A lot of pushback on creative control from the directors and a lot of micromanaging that hindered what I thought this movie might be and what I thought I might get. This has been commented on in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the Marvels, obviously the millions and millions of reshoots that they had for Captain America Brave New World. Thankfully, this movie did not suffer from that. If there were a lot of changes done behind the scenes, it wasn't very apparent. It didn't feel like it, and that's a good thing. This felt largely like early MCU again, and not like Civil War in terms of scale, but definitely in tone. It gave me those vibes, practical stunts, realistic action set pieces, and a plot that felt linear and tight. Not overly ambitious, but not very convoluted either. The plot was fine, nothing mind-blowing like leaving a like and hitting the subscribe button. It was a little predictable, but it wasn't the messy narratives that we've been getting forced down our throats like Captain America Brave New World. Speaking of which, this movie didn't feel like a Frankenstein project. The dialogue was cohesive, it wasn't jarring, the story felt like a different take on a similar stance. This one felt like someone had a vision and they stuck to it. The action sequences were strong, not too flashy and not too heavy on the CGI. It was upbeat, it was very stunty, and really honestly, all of it worked for me. So let's talk about the characters. This movie felt very much so balanced on the backs of a very introspective and emotional Yelena Belova, played by Florence Pugh, and a very overly enthusiastic Red Guardian, played by David Harbour. Both of their performances were very convincing. I just kind of felt like Yelena's moments when she got really vulnerable, they just didn't land with me, and I can't really fault that for the character. It could have been that I just, I wasn't in the right space to see it at that time. Full disclosure, I am gonna go back and see this movie a second time. I didn't go see Captain America Brave New World a second time. I waited for it to come out on digital. So let's talk about John Walker. This is a John Walker that is bitter and broken after having dealt with the consequences of his aspirations to become the next Captain America. Well, really after the aspirations of him wanting to become the next Captain America didn't really pan out for him. I felt like he was super convincing. I mean, like, this felt like the very charismatic, snarky asshole military arrogance that I'm used to seeing. And even the moments where it felt like he was gonna be vulnerable, they felt genuine. The scene with him with his baby really didn't do it for me, but I get where they were going. I think I would have benefited from seeing a little more leaning into the unhinged version of US Agent. Ghost in this movie felt real flat to me. I was raised in a lab, I was raised in a lab, I was raised in a lab. It was like, yeah, I get it. That's not a good excuse for not having some characteristic that made you stand out. It just didn't come across at all. I felt like it was a missed opportunity, and I don't really feel like she brought much as a character to the film. And I blame that largely on the writing. I think she wasn't written to have a very compelling arc, so to speak. Taskmaster, what can I say about Taskmaster? Definitely didn't see that coming, but it also felt like boring and like, wait, what?
What?
It just really didn't feel like it was much of anything, honestly. Valentina, I felt like her and her assistant fell really flat. She didn't seem very convicted, neither did her assistant. Overall in tone, I felt like I found myself kind of stale-faced at a lot of the jokes in the first two acts. It would have been a better movie had those jokes landed with me, all right? But the third act, for some reason, they really came down and nailed it, and I was dying by the end of the movie. But let's dive a little deeper into like what the movie is really about. A lot of the characters are unfulfilled, feeling empty inside, not really finding any level of purpose or satisfaction from what they've been doing or what they've done. And largely all of these characters, they're all solo at this point. Ghost had Goliath, Smith, John Walker had Lamar Hoskins, Yelena had her sister and the rest of the widows, and Bucky Barnes had Steve Rogers, obviously. Is that everybody? Kind of feel like that's everybody. Who am I missing? It makes sense that Red Guardian would be the one to kind of bring them all together. He saw what a team was capable of in Black Widow when the family banded together. So yeah, a lot of these characters were partnered or had companions, and then now they don't have them anymore. So it makes sense for this group of individuals to kind of fall into place and then ultimately come together and band together with one another. In the first Avengers film, you see this team coming together, again, these individuals forming the beginning workings of what it looks like in the collaborative efforts they build. This kind of ended the same way. It didn't show them in their strive points, and that makes sense because this is the team that's just now building, which kind of leads me to the whole Sentry arc, which kind of mirrors that whole theme. So you have this dopey, dorky, cliche loser guy infested with this deep-seated disparity in not finding value in himself. The moment that he actually embraces that darker side, the movie really kind of like, oh, I get it. Now there's something to be said about an Avengers level threat being bested by a group hug. Yet here we are. In the end, they found that individuality can only get you so far. It's really the level of collaborative togetherness that strengthens us and shields us to be able to take on anything. And that's a really powerful message and a very relevant one in a world where we've never been more connected, but never felt more alone. I really feel like that goes miles. Now let's talk about the post-credit scenes. So we're setting up two Avengers teams, two ideologies, two missions, obviously coming to a collision course. We last left Sam Wilson building his Avengers team, and I largely assume that his Avengers team is gonna be made up of Falcon, Shang-Chi, Shuri, Captain Marvel, whereas we've been introduced to this new team of Avengers, the new Avengers, if you will. Again, setting us up for a movie that should feel kind of like a collision course, which we'll likely see pan out in Avengers Doomsday, which is a dumb fucking name for a movie. I don't know why they're doing that. And then we come to the Fantastic Four reveal, which I felt like really made me feel like, yes, we are really back in prime MCU, where you have one movie, it ends, and it builds anticipation for the next movie. And then that happens again. And then we all see where it's culminating. Now, the multiverse has been a very, very long and dragged out saga. And to see it kind of finally come together in these threads that we see really does feel good and remind me of the good old days. So that's the Thunderbolts in a nutshell. Nothing really game changing, but definitely hearkening back to a better time in the MCU. Definitely grounded, cohesive, but a very solid entry into the MCU, and one that I think really sticks the landing and does its job in getting us in anticipating what's to come next. Hoorah for the Fantastic Four. I think this is the right direction for Marvel to go in. I feel like they've absolutely found their footing here. And it also comes off like there's been an upward trend in reception to the movies that have been coming out lately. Whether it's warranted or not, I'll leave that up to you. But I do think it's fair to say that, like many of you, I haven't been this excited for the MCU in a very long time. But what were your thoughts? Tell me what you thought about the Thunderbolts in the comments below. And while you're at it, leave a like and subscribe for more nerdy content. I'm Matt Lucas. This is Revenge of the Nerd, and I'll holla.